Welcome back to my channel of Slow English. I hope you saw our first video yesterday where I talked about perfectionism and how if everything has to be perfect, sometimes you never start. So forgive me because obviously not everything is going to be perfect on this video. I am sitting in my new garden behind us. I have a vegetable garden in the sun, and when it gets very hot in the vegetable garden, we needed a place to sit in the shade to cool off and relax a little bit, maybe drink some water. And my parents bought this bench. I decided that if we were going to have a bench, that we should have a pretty garden for the bench to sit in. So I spent the last 2 weeks probably building this garden, and now I like to spend a lot of time up here. I like to spend time in nature and outside, especially in the springtime. I think today we are very disconnected from the outdoors, especially if we live in a city or we work inside all the time. And I think it's important to get back outside in nature sometimes. You hear my roosters. Here I am in the background. I have some chickens for eggs for my family and the vegetable garden. They're just small ways to be a little self sufficient and provide healthy food for me and my family without breaking the bank, without spending so much money. Um, the prices at the grocery store keep going up and up and up, and the quality of the food is not good. It's actually a little scary, the ingredients of some of the products at the grocery store. So, as much as I can provide here on my little bit of land, my little bit of property, I try to do that. So, why did I want to make this channel? And how did I start teaching English? About 3 years ago, my aunt wanted to learn Spanish on Duolingo, and she asked me to join with her, to practice with her and be her friend. And so I agreed, and over the next 2 years, I learned to speak Spanish, and I experimented with different different ways of learning. I practiced Spanish. I took Spanish classes in high school, well, in middle school and high school, and a little bit in college. And after all of that, I could not speak Spanish, which is, I think, common for most people. And I was determined this time to be able to speak. So I used a combination of Duolingo, YouTube, and native speaking partners to practice and learn to speak Spanish. That turned into a job teaching English as a second language and tutoring people online in English. So here I am. I was never an English teacher in a school or anything, but I enjoy languages. I started to learn French after Spanish. I'm not very good, but I can communicate. And after all, communicating is the most important thing. That goes back to our conversation about perfectionism. If we're afraid to talk and afraid to try because we're not perfect, then we will never improve. We're never going to get better if we don't try, if we don't make mistakes and learn from our mistakes. Um, there was a good story, a good analogy that a seeds that a rather famous English teacher or language teacher, Michel Thomas, shares at the beginning of his courses. He says that learning a language and communicating is like playing tennis. You have one player on this side who's say speaking English and another player on this side who speaks French or another language, and the net is in the middle on your tennis game. And if you try to communicate in their language, you hit the tennis ball. If the tennis ball goes over the net, they understand. Sometimes the tennis ball hits the net and the other person doesn't understand. That's not a problem. You just have to get the ball and try again. Hit the ball again, and maybe this time it will go over the net, because the most important thing is communication, not being perfect. One thing that greatly helped me in learning languages was input and what they call comprehensible input, which are things that you understand in your new language. And one of the hard things for me is to find people I enjoy listening to that I can understand, um, but things that are interesting. Sometimes I get very bored with lists of grammar or words or phrases. I want to hear stories and I want to hear people communicating naturally. So I'm going to try to do that here on this channel. Um, I think that's about it for today. I hope you will continue to learn English with me, and I will continue to share stories with you. Maybe we'll do a tour of my vegetable garden next. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.